Hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Marie.
And we're the Old School Soulmates. And tonight we're going to talk about buying shoes at the thrift store.
What to look for, what to run away from, what to steer clear of. And
Right.
that's what this is about. This is so you can make money selling shoes.
Or buy yourself some nice shoes, one way or the other.
Exactly.
And if you stick around to the end, we'll tell you our secret for finding the shoes at the thrift store. So.
All right.
Okay, we'll start off with the most obvious thing you can do. And this is kind of gross to some people, but you have to sniff shoes when you buy them.
You do. Absolutely. Yeah. They smell like smoke. They smell like mildew from storage. If you ever see like a white dustiness, like just run from them.
It's mildew, and
you can't get it out. We've tried everything. We've done a lot of experimenting.
We've tried Lysol. We've tried charcoal. We tried everything.
Everything. Laying outside in the sun.
And cigarette smokes is something that you really just want to stay away from.
And if you accidentally buy one, because sometimes one will slip in, you wouldn't even realize it till you get home. Just disclose it. I've sold brand new, beautiful Danskos, smelled like smoke. You're gonna lose about $15 from the sale, though.
Yeah.
So
and plus, people that smoke don't care, so they'll buy them. So they will sell. Yeah.
And if you smoke, keep your inventory separate from it, because it really does get into shoes really easily, and it does not come out easily. So.
Right. And we're reformed smokers, so we understand smoking is not a problem with smoking, but it's more of just because a lot of people don't, and they will return it, and they will give you a negative on smoky shoes.
And I've bought shoes from eBay before that it wasn't disclosed that they smell like smoke. So, Yep. The next thing is the insoles dry rotting, and the insoles of shoes, always remove them. If they're removable, take them out. I bought a pair of shoes for cruise, not a high-end shoe, but they were brand new. I mean, still had the tags, but age is our shoe's worst enemy. And the inside and I didn't know it, we sold them, and the inside of the insole just dissolved. Never even thought about that. So if the insoles are removable, pull them out. Doesn't matter what brand, doesn't matter, just pull them out. Sneakers, Allegrias, whatever it is, and inspect them, because if people wear them barefooted, they can be beyond what's cleanable or what you'd want to sell or have. So always check those. You can wash the sneaker ones, but next is the bend test. Every pair of shoes, it doesn't matter, every shoe, where you would take your step, where it would bend, where your feet normally bend them there. The reason is if the shoe has been worn out, they practically can flop,
Right.
and you don't even realize, they have no stability to them.
Like in this video here, you can see where we're bending it and it's cracked.
Right. And the cracking is from the age breaking down the materials that the soles are made out of. But some men's shoes that are just, I don't know the word, they're leather shoes, but they have a rubber sole. From them being worn so much that where it bends, where you step, just gets worn out, and it's just, they're floppy.
Right.
So you want to make sure.
Yeah, it's generally like right in this part of the shoe where you'll see the cracking. But as you can see in some of these videos here, they can crack everywhere. They could crack nowhere. It just depends on how you.
That's just if you just bend them, you'll
disintegrate.
Know. And SASs and Echos are very prone to that. Echos especially, and it's just the material, and there's articles about it, so they know it happens.
Yeah.
The other thing is, and this is really hard to catch sometimes, and that's where the sole separates from the top of the shoe. Bournes do it. Anything that has that stitching around them, but the actual top of the shoe is sewn to the sole, and they just separate. And you'll have like the talking shoe, But
like this one in the video that's falling apart here, you can see that.
I had one the other day. I picked up beautiful shoes, and I'm like, gosh, these are so nice. And when I went to put them in the cart, something moved, and I'm like, holy criminy! I mean, they just were. It was unbelievable. You'd be surprised, So always look for that, because it's not obvious. So.
Okay, another thing to look for when you're shopping for shoes, especially men's dress shoes, leather soles, or thinness of the sole. And what I mean by that is the sole here, if you hear that sound, that's generally okay. Another way to test it is push on this. If you can budge this at all, it's weak, it's worn. If you can't, like this one is in good shape, and it's going to break my finger before I put my finger. But you can actually put your thumb through some of these shoes when you test them. So always test that. The only exception to that rule is if you have a very expensive shoe, and I mean it's comped out at like an
$300-400, yeah.
Right.
Alden's,
for example.
Yeah.
And certain types of leather, like Cordovan. We can do some videos on how to look for these different types of leather, or their alligator, or something like that. Sometimes they're worth somebody spending some money with a cobbler. If you sell them as is, you'll get what you get for them. But if you take them to a cobbler yourself, you might actually end up getting more money. So you just have to kind of do the math on it and see. But this is a good way to. If it's a Johnson Murphy, it pushes it all. Put them
Cole
back.
Haan,
Cole
anything
Haan,
like that. Yeah.
So,
Yep.
okay.
Uneven wear on the heels and soles.
Speaking of heels.
Yep. The uneven wear is right here on the back of the heel. This one is worn a little bit. This particular shoe has nails in it, which helps. But there's actually a dip right here, and every shoe has it, where that's where you're going to wear as you take your step.
Like this. Yeah.
So what you can do is put the two pairs up against each other in the store, and you can see how bad it is. Normal wear, there's going to be some dip unless the shoes are new. If the shoes aren't new, this is very minimal. But sometimes you'll see it actually worn all the way up to here.
Right, so the person's walking like this if you're in those shoes, and that's not good for you.
And it's formed to the person who made that.
Their stride.
Their stride, right.
So.
And now reheeling a pair of shoes is no big deal at all. So if it's a good quality shoe, and the only problem is the heel, and this is still solid, no big deal. Just disclose it. Say, might need a new heel, because that's a common thing to replace our heels. Not so much the whole sole. That's a $70 fix usually.
Right.
So, but yeah.
Right.
So, and you want to make sure it wears even on both shoes, because sometimes people that have maybe a disability or a leg, one shoe would wear differently than the other. Steer clear of those, because those are too hard to overcome. For our scuffs and scratches, especially on colored shoes, anything other than brown and black. Brown and black is so easy to correct and fix with shoe polishes and scuff covers. And if you ever look for that stuff, they come brown, black, neutral. You've got shoes that are red and purple and green and orange and all these crazy colors. Especially leather shoes, you can't do anything about it.
You have a hard time.
It's almost impossible. And there's something that they put on the shoe, and I don't know what it is that makes those colors, that even if you take a shoe polish a blue or whatever, it doesn't absorb into it like it does on black and brown shoes.
Right.
So I've never been able to get those back in shape. And usually those colored shoes aren't a higher end shoe, so it's just not worth the trouble at all. And bad scuffs, if it's just a scuff, you can buff it out. If it's a dig, you can't. So you think about that before you purchase them.
Yeah, generally, if you can't fix it in the thrift store with your
spit,
give it a spit shine.
Yeah, exactly.
You're probably not going to want to pick it up.
Right.
So.
And men's dress shoes really, they can be polished and so forth. Where women's shoes and cutesy shoes and stuff, they can't. I mean, they just can't. It's sad. I mean, sometimes I'll see the most beautiful shoes that are silver and they've got a bad scuff, and there's nothing you're going to do.
Nothing you can do for them.
Yep.
Okay.
Another thing is patent leather. Patent leather is a tough one. As patent leather ages, it gets sticky. I've had a really beautiful pair of shoes that were sticky, and I went through the internet, combed it top to bottom. I tried every possible fix to stop them from being sticky, because I need to know this. Nothing worked. Absolutely nothing worked. I tried from putting them in the freezer to, we're talking everything.
Yeah, all kinds of crazy stuff.
And I thought about, and I did that just for you and for me to know if this is actually something that works. It doesn't. I couldn't get it where I felt it was sellable. And if I had to do that to every pair of patent leather shoes, I'd go broke. So you can't. If the patent leather isn't pristine and beautiful, you can clean it with Pledge. And a lot of scuffs on patent leather come right out with some cleaners. But
and for those of you who don't know what patent leather is, maybe that's a term you haven't heard before. It's basically the really shiny military type shoes that you see that are, a lot of times they're black with really, the security guard, police officers, people in military, that kind of thing, wear these shoes with their dress uniform, or people wear them with tuxedos. I mean, they're just all over the board. But
if they're not Bates military, then they're considered a tuxedo shoe. Right. And a lot of women's shoes have patent leather accents or patent leather. And you'll see a lot of Dansko that's patent leather, and you'll see a lot of Allegria that's patent leather, and a lot of accents that are patent leather. But once it gets sticky, you're done. It's really not worth it. So the effort is no reward for that. No. And the other is... Another thing is white shoes. One, they are a devil to photograph. But besides that, stains. Any kind,
especially cloth white shoes. Yeah. They'll get some stain on them, and it's done.
But even the soles. If the soles, Magic Eraser works great, but if we have red clay here, and if you get red clay stains, I have yet to be able to really get those out. If you get a sneaker that's got that graying that you see around the edges, that comes right off. Mm-hmm. But when you see that red stain from where somebody has stepped in clay, a beautiful pair of Cole Haans, and somebody had gotten red clay on them, on just the sole, and it just ruined the whole shoe. And I threw everything in my arsenal at it. Yeah. And I could not budge those stains at all. And
one of these days we'll do a video on how to clean shoes and stuff, because I think that's
what I do to clean shoes.
What we do to clean shoes.
I'm not that intense on mine. The other thing about a shoe that I try to do, and that's actually put my hand in it. There's going to be defects in shoes that when the shoe's just sitting there, it looks wonderful. And we've got in one of our clips here where the stitching had come undone, but you can't tell until you actually put your hand in there and you saw, oh gosh, it just gapped there, and there's this big hole right there. Right. But the shoe was practically new. I mean, the sole, the shoe was beautiful, and the stitching just let go. You've really got to fiddle with them, because shoes are not cheap at the thrift store. At $6 a pop, you're not buying them for $1. So take the time.
One other thing that we see too, as you can see in this video here, is the insides of the shoe peel.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, that's a huge problem with women's dress shoes. As they age, the inside of a woman's heel or pump or boot is lined with this super thin leather, I don't even know,
like a veneer of some sort.
It's bonded is what it is. So it's over usually a fabric, so it's super thin, and you'll see it in the soles of shoes, women's dress shoes as well. So when they put those stickers in from Goodwill, you're going to want to kill them because it peels it and rips it. But Vanelli is very bad for this, and all dress shoes, Anne Klein's, anything. If you got to
really, sometimes too, you can see
you've got to bend, where your foot goes into a woman's high heel and it comes around the sides. Right in here, you actually bend it and look at it, bend it out, and you'll see it start to crack. If it's cracking, the whole inside of that shoe is just going to peel out.
And so they're going to put their foot in there and they're going to pull it out, and it's going to have all kinds of stuff on their toes or sock or whatever, and that's not going to be good.
And it's not, has nothing about the quality of the shoe. It's purely about the aging process of shoes
and the storage conditions too. I think sometimes the Goodwill shoes they've been sitting in hot warehouses or frozen warehouses or maybe
women.
both.
I mean, women put their shoes in the attic and they just can't withstand the heat. I've got a whole box of them, so I don't even want to know what shape those are in. I'll probably have to show those to you.
It would be good to show
what an attic, what 3 years in the attic can do. I didn't know.
All of our shoes are kept in temperature controlled.
Now, yes.
We if it's too hot for us, it's too hot for our shoes. So,
they're in definitely, and they're in totes, and they're in bags to protect them. So
we told you at the beginning that if you stick around to the end, we'll give you our secret to buying shoes, and here it is: buy good shoes. Buy shoes that you don't need to clean. Buy shoes that you don't need to repair. That's really what we've learned through buying shoes for a lot of years. Mm-hmm. When we first started, we bought a bunch of shoes that were, a bunch of shoes, and they ran the gamut.
Oh, and they needed some serious cleaning and so forth. And especially the bottoms of really the ones that are deep treaded and they just caked with something. And it takes an hour to clean them. It's just not worth it.
No.
You know, it's really, unless that shoe's going to bring you $79, $89.
Right.
For a $29 pair of shoes, you really don't want to do anything except for dusting it off, basically.
And we have a few little secrets, and we'll show you how we kind of spruce them up. But we don't spend hours doing them. We're not gonna. You won't see us putting spit shines on them. You won't see us doing much of anything, because if you buy it in the right condition, you don't need to do all that. And believe me, at the end of the day, there's enough good shoes out there that you can find them in good condition. Even if they're a good brand, but they're worn out, you know, we bought a few of those when we first started, because, hey, this brand sells for this much, but not in that condition.
Right.
So always, that's the secret to buying shoes at a thrift store, is make sure you check all these things we've talked about in this video and more. There's probably other things too you can check, and you'll see them as you go out there. But just look them over really good. Bend them, push on them, twist them a little bit.
Check
whatever
the
you
laces.
got to do.
You know,
check the laces.
People can replace the laces. It's really not a big deal, but you want to disclose it, you know, and take good pictures so they can see that, these could use a little polish. But people buying dress shoes are going to know they need to be polished. It's not a sin, you know.
Yeah, it depends on the shoe, of course, and we don't really deal with sneakers much. I mean, other than just run-of-the-mill sneakers, we're not into Jordans and things like that.
No.
And
not at all.
But mostly dress shoes and women's dress shoes and men's dress shoes and
work shoes and comfort shoes.
And comfort shoes, so,
which are easy to sell and care for.
And they don't need a lot of sprucing up.
Absolutely not.
So that's the secret, in our opinion, of how to make sure you buy some really good shoes.
Because your time has a value, so don't invest. I remember buying a pair when we first started of golf shoes that were just caked with grass.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Picking out weeds.
That was horrible. That was horrible.
I've seen gardens with less weeds.
I will never do that. Never do that again. They must have just mowed, and he walked every inch of that golf course.
Yeah, he played some golf.
But it didn't come out easy. It was painful. Yeah. So never again.
So so that's the key. Just make sure you buy them right. Make sure you buy them in good condition. Make sure you check all these things, and you'll be making some money with shoes.
Yep.
So.
That wraps up this video. If you have any suggestions for what you'd like to see in future videos, please let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to hit the like button, and please subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.